Hearthstone Global Games is an epic country versus country tournament where teams of 4 card slingers each clash for national pride.
But in the end, the UK always wins.
Wait, everybody knows it's Germany always wins.
Aren't you Polish?
Is winning all that matters?
It's all about fun and getting along with your teammates.
That's easy when their skills are legendary.
Or in this case, you have an ace player who will never let you down.
So we're going to see the same old archetypes then?
No, every team needs to bring all 9 classes.
So we're going to see Hunter?
I wonder.
So let's recap. It's 4 regions, 48 countries, but
Only one winner.
Get ready.
for the Hearthstone
Global Games.
Hello and welcome back to week 6 of the Hearthstone Global Games. I'm Falcone and joining me for this first one is of course Raven. How you doing, Raven?
I'm doing good. We had a lot of cool matches actually yesterday, and today we've got even more coming up, and a lot of key matches coming up today as we've got some 0-2s are going to be playing it out, and we've discussed quite a lot how important these 0-2, potentially 0-3 or 1-2 matches are.
Yeah, I mean, Sotil mentioned yesterday that saying that one match is more important than the one before is kind of silly because all of the matches have the same impact, but it feels more important the further into the competition you get. When you're actually playing this game where if you lose it, then you're potentially just out of the competition, it does feel more important, even if realistically it's not.
Yeah, there's a lot on the line as we see teams move out through in these groups. Some of the groups are actually really close in terms of scores, and some of them are a little bit more spread out with a couple of groups even having 2-0, 3-0 sitting at the top.
Of course, we are still in Stage 1 of the Hearthstone Global Games, though very, very far through Stage 1, the 10-week round robin. Half of the teams are going to get eliminated after Stage 1, and we're getting to the point where we're starting to find out who those teams are.
Yeah, and the teams that make it through Stage 1 are going to go to Shock Horror Stage 2, where we're going to be mixing it up again, and it's a slightly shorter round with 3-week round robin, and then we'll go into the 16-team single elimination for Stage 3, with the top 4 teams out of that going to make it to a LAN finals to see who is going to be the best country in the Hearthstone Global Games.
Already very, very excited for those LAN finals. But first, we're still in Stage 1. As me and Raven were just saying, these games are getting pretty important as we just take a look at Group A. Bulgaria leading the pack 3-1. Quite a surprise Group A, I think, considering you've got like Sweden and China in the group.
Yeah, Bulgaria's been a really sort of standout performers for me at least. They've been playing very, very well indeed. You can see even from the game score, 10-6 at the moment. So they're looking really, really strong. Group B, talked a lot about United States. They're not playing this week, but they're going to be playing next week, I believe. They're leading the pack 3-0 with Netherlands hot on the heels. But then the rest of the group, a lot to play for, maybe except for that last place, which is Romania.
We're going to be seeing Netherlands versus Peru at the end of the day today. That's going to be really exciting. Potentially Netherlands through with USA into the next phase, just on the back of that one game.
Yeah, and then Group C, Argentina looking really, really strong as a 3-1 at the top. Russia falling yesterday to Austria was a big, not too much of a surprise if you look at the players, but a big surprise in terms of performance with Austria. At that point, 0-2. They did get the win versus Russia, and now they were back in the fight in this group.
Yeah, you could almost call it an upset just due to the prestige of the Russian players, and also the fact that Austria hadn't gotten a win yet. You could have easily looked at that matchup and said, well, Russia's going to take that, but no, Austria fought back, and they've still got a chance in this competition.
Yeah, and then my team, South Korea, rocking the top of Group D with a 3-1 record. They took a win yesterday, so that was awesome for those guys. Hungary sat at second place, Greece at 2-2, battling in that third place as well. Slovakia, Portugal, and Hong Kong, though, still everything to fight for. 1-2 across the board there on the lower half. Although the game score, if you look at Slovakia, for example, 1-6 is not correct on that graphic, actually. You need to win 3 games to win a series, so that will be updated, no doubt. Sorry about that.
Now, Group E, Italy. My team is at the top of this group, just so it's not just you winning your group.
I didn't pick my team when they were already 2-0, though, Falk.
Okay, all right. I'll take it. And Japan, sadly, at the bottom with 1-2. Though it's pretty close all around. It's not like these guys are out of the competition just yet. There's no team with 0 wins. But just, again, Italy with 0 losses.
Yeah, well, when you see there's still Chile and Israel to play to even up the bottom sets of of teams.
Yep.
So then they could be 1-2 as well. And then, you know, that whole group is pretty much up for grabs. But then Group F, Canada and Malaysia rocking this group 3-0 each as a first and second place as we almost end towards the end of Group Week 6, if I can get my words out today. We are going to be seeing Denmark and Belgium playing. This is one of those key matchups where Belgium need to get a win here, because going 0-3 makes that chance at a comeback very, very difficult indeed.
Group F and Group G, some of the more wider spread groups. As we can see, in contrast to the groups that we saw a little bit earlier, we do have Singapore with 0 wins. We have Turkey with 0 losses, and all of the games in between are quite close. It doesn't look like we've had as many games from Group G just yet. I don't think we have any of those coming up today either.
Yeah, just the nature of scheduling means that we want to make sure all the teams play at a decent time zone for themselves. They're not playing at like 3 in the morning or something to make it a bit awkward. So, you know, all the matches will be finished and played by the end of this group stage. Group H, Ukraine and Czech Republic 3-0 each at the top, and very important as well because they have not played each other yet. So the match they play each other is going to be a huge one. Germany as well going to be playing Belarus later on today, and Germany, from going 0-2, can now potentially even that up 2-2, and again just hold off that third place spot.
It's funny because in the group they're in third place, though one more loss could essentially kick them out. It shows how close that these things are.
Yeah, a lot of this is going to come down to game score, which will be the tie-breaking decider, basically. So at the end of this whole stage 1, we'll see who's in what position in the groups. The top 3 go through, but the third place, more than likely, is going to be decided in most groups by the game score. So even if you take a loss in one of these matches, it's very important that that loss is a 2-3, so you can get as many game wins as possible.
Sadly, we're not able to say and be absolutely sure that a team that's got 3 losses is out. We're not even able to absolutely say for sure that a team with 3 wins is through, though it's very, very likely. All right, well, schedule for today. First up, Belgium versus Denmark, followed by, oh, no, that's not the, Finland versus Israel. That is the second game today. Then Germany versus Belarus, Brazil versus Sweden, and Netherlands versus Peru. Yeah,
a lot of great matches coming up today. I will be kicking off Belgium and Denmark, so that's going to be a great one to watch. Like I said, the key one for me here is just Germany versus Belarus, there we go. Just because Belarus is 0-2 on one hand, as we just talked about, very important match for them. But Germany have been on the up and up after a very rough opening. You know, they actually lost to Philippines and Ukraine, 2 very strong teams, but still they got a win versus Croatia as well. So, you know, if they get this one, they're going to be in such a much better position in the space of like 2 weeks. It's crazy how quick the tables can flip.
Something we've been talking about just a little bit before we started today is that we've got a real sort of an underdog story coming on today. Coming off the back of the last game yesterday where Austria managed to topple the titan that is Team Russia. Almost all of the games today, I think all of the games today, has one team which you can argue is is more well known, have more achievements, and then the other team that are just as excited about winning because they want their team to become better known.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of favorites we have in Hearthstone Global Games. You look at countries like Germany, like Ukraine, like Russia. You just have a high amount of high-end pro players that we've seen throughout Hearthstone's life at this moment in time. But we've also seen a lot of countries and a lot of teams really come out of nowhere and really impress, along the lines of Italy, for example.
So pointing out this first game today, Denmark, I believe it was Lorinda that described these guys as the guys that everyone's heard of, but they haven't quite broken through yet and won their big thing. We got Hoy, Crane, Freddie B, and Indiran.
Yeah, so Hoy has had one of the longest quiet spells I think a player as good as him has had in a long time now. He, especially a year or so ago, was really on a hot streak, placing well in multiple tournaments, and he's just a really, really solid player. Crane, for complexity, has been on a decent run. He went to a championship last year as well, which is good for him. Freddie B, you know, not as well known. Same with Indiran. Indiran was on London Conspiracy and good friends with Crane quite a while ago.
Former teammates with you, right?
Exactly, yeah, quite a while ago. But Indiran actually took a break from the game, but has now returned just in time for the Global Games.
Yeah, on the other side of things, Maverick, Chinois, Anij, and Olek, I apologize if I said that incorrectly, not quite as well known, maybe with the exception of Maverick and Chinois, but these guys want to show that they can beat Denmark, and the game's pretty important for them as they're currently 0-2 in their bracket.
Yeah, very important indeed. And, you know, Maverick, a player you'll see at many tournaments. I think he goes to almost every single DreamHack. Yeah, he plays at all just almost the whole European circuit at this point. So he's a name, you know, you wouldn't be surprised at all to see some brackets, some, you know, top 16s, for example, as he has performed performed recently quite well at some DreamHacks. But this matchup, you know, on paper you'd have to just give it to Denmark down to just the experience and just the prestige of that team in general. But you know, we've seen a lot of matchups go the other way. You know, we've seen teams along the lines of Turkey, along the lines of Italy, just come out of nowhere and absolutely dominate groups. So it wouldn't be a true surprise at all if they did well.
And I know I keep harkening back to this, but Austria versus Russia yesterday was such a great feeling to watch Austria, who knew they were at a disadvantage, how happy they were when they won that game.
Yeah, and now we can see how this matchup is going to fare. The format is going to be a team best of 5. First team to 3 wins is going to take it. Each player chooses one of the 2 classes they've submitted to play against the player opposite them, Maverick versus Freddy B. And then they'll play 1 game as they move on throughout the group. And each player is going to take on that best of 1, and the first team to 3 is going to take it. If it goes 2-2, we're going to go to an ace match where one of the players will be able to play again.
And now I am not the slightest bit surprised. We've already been shown the result of the first pick, but I was about to say to you, 2 rogues, 2 shaman. Rogue kind of beats shaman every time, unless you've got a really aggressive shaman like we saw yesterday. It's not surprising at all that we've seen both Maverick and Freddy B pick the rogue.
Yeah, there's a lot of things the rogue can do if it's quest. The shaman just can't really deal with a lot of the time. Lightning Storm doesn't do much versus, you know, a board of 5/5. Same with Volcano, it just doesn't get there. And often with the shaman decks the way they're going now, with the very slow Spirit Echo versions, rogue needs time. Rogue needs approximately 5 to 6 turns to actually get going with the quest. Shaman just hands them that time. They don't do anything most of the time for the first 5 or 6 turns. The whole idea is the Shaman takes the late game in a very slow and slow and steady way. But Rogue will just stomp all over them, so I can see a Rogue mirror instead.
We did see yesterday in one of the ace matches, it was Shaman versus Rogue, and I think it was me and Sottle saying, well, looks like the Rogue's going to take it, but then the Rogue ended up being a very aggressive Rogue with Flame Tongue Totems and Bloodlust, and that was able to
Aggressive
get...
Shaman.
Shaman.
Please
Shaman
don't
with
tell me
Bloodlust.
Rogue can play Flame Tongue.
No.
My little soul.
It's fine. And they were able to get past the Rogue. But today, I think it's pretty obvious. Both of those Shaman were slow ones. So we're going to see the Rogue.
Yeah, it's becoming more of the standard in general to just play the Shaman list with the Spirit Echoes.
Spirit Echoes being one of the key cards from the expansion that's sort of shaped the way that Shaman looks now.
Yeah, and a lot of Spirit Echoes is just, you know, the cards are healing cards or just value Jade cards. You Spirit Echoes them and just get more value from that. But a lot of the time it's just very, very slow. Good against control style decks or even mid-range decks, but often not enough to beat our deck as aggressive as Rogue. But these rogues, we've even been seeing different tech in Quest Rogue recently. I feel like there is 2 to 3 slots in that deck that can be changed for anything you want. We've seen a lot of Hungry Crab. We've even seen, not recently, but, you know, Galactic Crawler, Hungry Crab are kind of interchangeable, depending on what you expect. And then we see, you know, Tolve Stone Shaper. We see Tar Creeper as well.
I've even seen Eater of Secrets. I think we've seen it here in the global games in the Quest Rogue, which can be pretty disgusting. Just a way of getting past that mage 1 turn sooner, which can make all the difference.
Yeah, one of the problems, though, or one of the considerations, at least, with this format is that when you build a lineup and build your decks, if you include tech to beat something very specific, like effectively Mage, you can Eater of Secrets, you're Paladin Secret, but the odds on that lineup are pretty low, and you're not gaining too much. But against Mage, well, 1, you have to go against the person whose one of 2 classes is Mage. Then you are kind of forced into the class you have tech to beat Mage, and then they might not pick Mage at all, so they might not even see play. So teching that hard can be a tough one if there's no other benefit. Hungry Crab, well, there are some other decks that happen to play Mercs.
Even other rogues, right?
Yeah, other rogues, even Aggro Druid as well. So it's not just, okay, if I hit Paladin, great. If I don't, awkward.
And Galactic Crawler, I mean, pirates are everywhere at the moment. Pirate Warrior is the obvious one, as you said as well. Aggro Druid also runs patches, and Bloodcell Cultist. There's the other one. There's Rogue. Rogue always run pirates as well. Swashbucklers, sometimes patches. South Sea Deckhand. So Galactic Crawler is a tech that makes sense in a lot of matchup. There's the Tar Creeper that we mentioned just a few moments ago. Now I'm struggling to keep up with Rogue nowadays because yesterday was the first time I'd seen Tar Creeper in a Rogue. Sottle said it came in at around the same time as Tolve Stone Shaper. I tried the deck a little bit last night, and it does make a lot of sense. You know, you play the Tar Creeper on 3, you play the Stone Shaper on 4, and then you complete the quest sometime after that.
Yeah, and the thing as well is it's just anti-aggro, right? Rogue loses to aggro just almost every single time. So if you can play just a copy of a card or, 2 of, that is very efficient anyway, a 3-mana, effectively 3/5 taunt, really does a great job at just staving off that early aggression, and that's the time the Rogue needs. This is going to be a Rogue mirror, of course, both players equipping the quest on one, or at least Maverick's looking to be. You don't always play the quest on one as the Rogue, but with Igneous Elemental in both opening hands, this card actually one of the highest win rate cards in the deck post-mulligan, so both players on even footing for now.
Yeah, for Maverick, if it's Stone Tusk Boar on one or play the quest, he probably goes ahead and plays the quest. Just want to point out quickly that the Hearthstone Global Games is a team-based tournament. Both players are sitting there on their own, but they are allowed to play with their teammates if they choose to. And, well, in all instances, you'll find that the players are communicating with each other via their choice of comms.
Yep. Communication being key. We've talked to a lot of teams, a lot of players within those teams, and they say communication is something that as they've improved on, they have been more successful in their matches. This is going to be a really weird matchup depending on how it goes. The Tar Creeper is going to change the outcome of this, but the Igneous Elemental is often a card you try not to kill if your opponent plays it.
Yeah.
So you can potentially see both players, whoever drops Igneous first, their opponent will do everything they can to not place a minion that can be killed by it. So, for example, the Brewmaster, if left on the board, the Igneous Elemental can trade into that, which you don't want to happen if you're Team Belgium here. So it's got to be very conscious of how and when to play this Brewmaster.
Yeah, one of the advantages of Freddy B's Tar Creeper is that it can block his other minions and prevent Maverick from making trades at some point, even allowing him to put stuff on the board and not worry about them being destroyed. The flip side of it is that his Tar Creeper will allow Maverick to trade his Igneous Elemental into it, which would benefit Maverick more.
Yeah, and a couple of differences in the hand. Igneous Elemental being the similarity, but at the moment Denmark only have Gadgets and Ferryman to bounce one of the Flame Elementals that comes out of the Igneous, which is what you want to proc the quest with. Whereas Belgium and Maverick have 2 bounces in the form of one Ferryman and a Brewmaster as well. So they can effectively get the quest done as, once this elemental dies by bouncing one of the 1/2s and just playing the other one twice as well. So the second Tar Creeper.
The tough part for Maverick is piecing this puzzle together, working out his mana efficiency, working out exactly how he wants to go about completing this quest as quickly as possible. Second Tar Creeper being picked up. Usually in this rogue deck, you're happy to have 2 of the same minion because it means that you're going to complete the quest much easier. Tar Creeper, not necessarily the one you want to look to complete the quest with.
And the problem here is that he won't be able to play the Tar Creeper this turn because it just means that Maverick can kill off his Igneous Elemental next turn and start chaining these 1/2s. So this is a very awkward turn here for Team Denmark and Freddy B. I think he might consider Novice Engineer. He might just Hero Power here. This is really tough.
Yeah, it is tough. It depends what he wants to get from this Novice Engineer. It doesn't look like that's how he's going to complete the quest. So it's not the end of the world if he just pops it onto the board and has it die.
Yeah, I think you're relying on these Flame Elementals from the
Exactly,
Igneous.
yeah.
Maybe you just suck it up and play Tar Creeper and say, okay, you can proc your Igneous and go. But that is a risky strategy here.
Yeah.
Because what can happen now, because of that attack as well, is that Belgium can just proc the Igneous Elemental, get the 2 1/2s. Oh, Firefly as well makes it even easier. So you can play one of the Flame Elementals and bounce it as well. And by bouncing it, you can just leave, you can try and leave, oh, there's no Shadow Step. Okay. Let's just slow down.
So it's not possible for him to leave the board completely empty.
What you want to do is leave nothing on the board for the Igneous Elemental to trade into, but there's no Shadow Step in hand, so that is actually impossible, unless you just don't play anything this turn. But that's also just silly. You'll definitely want to at least play the Firefly, I think.
Okay, so that does allow Freddy B to trade his Igneous Elemental into a Elemental, proccing it and giving him the Flame Elementals in his hand. We're saying the words Flame Elemental a lot over the course of this game.
Ellie, there you go.
Flame Ellie.
Just Ellie. Ellie's a nice name.
There's different types of Elemental. There's the Igneous Elemental.
They need to know what we're talking about. It's fine,
There's the Tar Creeper Elemental. It's going to get confusing.
Ooh, Patches draw. Things just not going Freddy B's way here. This is not the draw he's really after. Tar Creeper, although great versus aggro, as soon as that quest is procced, well, doesn't really matter anymore. That 3 attack doesn't do much against a 5 health minion.
Yeah, it doesn't. Just a little bit of chip damage to it. The Patches pickup, by the way, is actually very common in Quest Rogue. because of the way that you play patches. In the more aggressive Pirate Warrior decks, old aggro Rogue and old aggro Shaman, etc., you drop the Pirate, the Swashbuckler, whatever, as soon as you possibly can, because you don't want to draw patches. But in the Quest Rogue, you actually tend to hold on to any Pirates for as long as possible, so that after you've completed the quest, you can play a Pirate, get a 5/5 with charge. It tends to be much better. And so patches isn't quite as bad a draw in this deck either, because once you've completed the quest, it's a 5/5 with charge, which is a pretty good card.
Yeah. Both players as well on 2 at the moment for the quest activation, but Maverick has a Flame Elemental in hand anyway. A Fireflight's going to give him another one. Doesn't particularly even need to use a bounce minion in the form of that Brewmaster, so he can hold off the Brewmaster to use with the Stone Tusk Boar once the quest is active.
It's getting there. It's just as I said earlier, he's just piecing together this puzzle. How do I do this as quickly as possible and just guarantee the win?
I think he probably just want...
Oh my goodness, another Firefly. Who needs bounces?
Yeah, he's even going to do it off the top as well. This is the power of Ignis Elemental, though. You're getting so far anyway with the 2 from the Death Rattle. Now, it looks like Maverick's just going to go very wide. Often a tactic with the Quest Rogue as to when you prop the quest is you either set up the quest to be played maybe with a prep and then you put charge minions on the board
Yeah,
that
with
turn.
a deckhand, it could be very strong.
Or you build up a board beforehand and say, you've got to clear this board or my quest will wreck you. And that's what Maverick's gone for now. 5 minions on the board, 25 damage represented next turn unless trades happen. So Freddie B, no choice at all but to make some of these trades go.
On the other side of things though, Freddie B is able to complete the quest and activate it because he's got the preparation. I believe he can even drop patches down onto the board as well and start to make some very, very good trades. It looks like somehow Denmark have managed to get the upper hand, even though they finished the quest a turn after Belgium did.
Yeah, the way these interactions work is this matchup is very swingy. As soon as someone gets the quest live and has charge minions as well, I think is key, then they can get so far ahead and just push so much damage. It's not like Rogue has any way to stall out the game or, outside of their few taunts, really stall out the game or heal or, buy any time. They just have to go for it.
Maverick did not look that happy as soon as he saw that preparation. Preparation is one of these cards where, against a Quest Rogue, that's the card that ruined your day, because you think to yourself, if they've completed the quest, that's great, but it's going to cost them all of their mana to play it. Nope, not with the use of preparation. And now, Belgium really find themselves on the back foot. They're able to activate the quest this turn. They get to put 1 charger onto the board, but that's it. They can only deal with 2 of these 5/5s.
Yeah, they take 20 damage. Or 15 if they double trade.
But Tar Creeper, such a cheat. 7/5.
Yeah, that's a pretty good minion. It still gains the +3 because that's like a live ability.
Yeah.
So it still gains the the +2 attack onto the minion. So this is going to be a tough one for Maverick here. I think he has to play the quest. I don't think he can wait, because if you wait, well, your minions just aren't good enough to deal with the board anyway.
Yeah, I mean, what's the alternative? You play a couple of 1/1s and...
He probably needed to draw exactly prep. He might even be trying to draw a prep.
Maybe a Vanish, though that doesn't really buy him much time. That's not going to do it.
Yeah, I think Mavericks just give up. I was going to say, after trying to get that prep out, then, it's just going to be game if you can't get it, because there's just too much damage represented. As we said, in the mirror specifically, there are no turns that buy you time. There's no Equality Conk, for example, to clear the board. There's no Ice Block to buy an additional turn. The board is very straightforward, and if you can't keep up, you lose very quickly.
We got a nice little thumbs up from Freddie B there. I don't think you saw it. It appears to me that it's preparation. That's the card that won them that game.
Yeah, definitely. If without the prep, Freddie B wouldn't have been able to develop enough onto the board to cause that level of threat, which means that it was either draw a prep of your own or concede, as you will just never be able to keep up. Next game we've got coming up, though, is Oliek and Hoy. It's going to be Paladin versus Warrior, and I'm pretty sure Hoy has more of a preference to the Taunt Warrior than anything else.
Right. Hoy opting to play the Warrior instead of the Paladin could be a surprising decision. Olek, on the other hand, he had to choose between Paladin and Warlock, which isn't really a surprising decision. We saw one Warlock yesterday, it lost its game, so yeah. They really don't like Warlock.
It was a very close game, though.
It was
It
close.
was very close. It was with a Warlock versus Aggro Druid, and there was a swipe off the top for the win.
The Fellhound was the 4-mana 3/8 was a really shocking surprise in that game. It wasn't quite enough to push the Warlock over the edge.
Yeah, okay, Hoi. Why aren't you showing us what we're all here to see? And that's Hoi's bird, Pidgey.
I haven't seen Pidgey at all over the course of the Hearthstone Global Games.
Okay, I'm going to speak to Hoi after this and say this is not acceptable.
Maybe he's saving Pidgey for Phase 2.
Maybe, yeah. It might be just that lucky thing he needs to get him through Phase 2. But let's be honest, you've got to get through Phase 1 first before you even get that far.
Well, you know, Hoi is on Team Denmark. Team Denmark are full of confidence. We saw an interview with Crane last week, and he was saying that, you know, they've got their communication solved. They're all top-tier players, and they know not to speak if they've got nothing to say. Like, they know what they're doing with their communication. And I think they're confident that they will get through to Phase 2.
Yeah, that's pretty reasonable. I think a team like that, especially because Crane and Indarin have been friends for such a long time as well, you kind of skip certain stages of trying to, you know, get together as a team and sort out that communication when half the team already know each other really well. I'm pretty sure they're, you know, good friends with Hoi anyway. So this team's actually very close-knit, as opposed to 4 players from the same country happening to be on the same team, putting them together and seeing if they mesh.
The other thing going on with this game is that it's sort of a lower stakes series for Team Denmark. They're 1-1 in the group. But on the other side of things, Belgium are 0-2. If they lose this, they have very little chance of actually progressing into the next phase of the competition. And that could shake their confidence a little bit and definitely up the pressure that they're feeling for this series.
Yeah, definitely going to be high-pressure match as we move into game number 2. I mean, that Murloc Paladin, Grimscale Chum, and Cold Light Seer means it's going to be more of the... I say it's going to be more of the aggressive opening.
I think it's impossible to tell nowadays.
You just see all sorts in Paladin. It's just 30 cards, see what happens. Whereas Hoi, on the other hand, is playing the Quest Warrior. My hunch was correct. Curator being one of the key cards in that deck. Not key enough to keep, of course, but great to draw into later to help refill that hand.
Yeah, good call there with Hoi on the Taunt Warrior. It seems to be the way he's going, believes that it's a strong enough deck. A lot of players don't agree that it's a strong enough deck, but the ones that do stick by it. And now it's going to be a question of, can the Taunt Warrior stabilize long enough to just put a stop to Oleg's aggression and then slowly win the game with maybe gaining some armor, clearing the board over and over again. Sleep with the Fishes is going to be one of the key cards in this matchup. Brawl, obviously, another one.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of this is going to come down to how strong this opening is from the Paladin here. There's Grimscale Chum and a Coin Wall Leader if required, and you know at this moment in time at least the Wall Leader is going to get the buff. Tarim is going to be really nice later on. If the board is kept by Belgium, then they'll be able to punch through a lot of taunts later if the board gets filled up by Hoi here.
Difficult decision that Hoi would have had during the mulligan there, or that Quest Warriors usually have during the mulligan is, do I or don't I keep the quest? And against Paladin, you kind of have to, because you have no idea where on the spectrum it's going to be. If you end up playing against a very, very slow, control, grindy Paladin, and you throw away the quest, you're sealing your fate straight away.
Yeah.
Of course, the punish there is when you play against a very fast Paladin where maybe you don't need the quest because you've won the game by the time you get to play it, you keep it unnecessarily.
Yeah, I think there's a chance that you just always need the quest versus the Paladin, to be honest. They run so much value cards. They run 2 Stonehills almost every single time. There might be a Curator. There's already going to be Tyrion at least in there as well. So there's so much value in general that they probably need the hero power to actually end the game.
Right.
They can stabilize, but the minions themselves don't do much. It's all about the minions allowing you to not die. And then the hero power is going to clear it up.
Now, Hoi taking his time there, considering the armor up with his team, but goes with Fiery Warwick. Going to just start clearing everything off of the board as quickly as he possibly can. Luckily for Hoi, I was about to say there's no Murloc in Belgium's hand that they can play this turn. They could have coined out War Leader, but you never do that into a Fiery Warwick. Belgium pick up the Valfin Inquisitor, though. And that's going to complicate their play a little bit. Do you just hero power here and hope that it eats up the Fiery Warwick charge? Do you think he goes ahead and plays the Murloc?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think hero power would be fine because of the War Axe. Hoi's never going to swing that War Axe into a 1-1, especially when it's not a Murloc. He will use it to clear up the Vilefin, pretty straightforward to be honest. But Hoi knows his follow-up is Tar Creeper anyway next turn, almost every single time. So he's already got his plan sorted. I think I'll be fine with just a hero power here.
Yeah, yeah. That's also okay for Hoy because he's going to be playing around the Murloc synergy. If a Murloc comes down, that's where the War Axe goes. The 1-1 is just kind of going to sit there if Belgium opt to play it, whereas any Murloc probably will eat up the Fiery War Axe. The advantage to playing Valfin Inquisitor, obviously, is that this does eat up the Fiery War Axe, and it makes Murloc War Leader safer when you choose to play that.
Yeah, will do. I think Murloc War Leader is probably not going to come out till after Finja anyway at this point. I think it's going to be even coin Finja on 4 to try and get a trade off, and then go with the War Leader to help out with that trade. Oleg would actually love a True Silver champion as well at this point. So you could even, pre-set up a True Silver champion. So then Finja plus True Silver plus War Leader afterwards means that, yes, you can kill anything that is on the board.
Tends to be a pretty nice combo there. Also worth noting, Finja has been buffed. It's no longer a 2-4, it's actually a 3-5. So should be quite easy for Oleg to proc that Finja as long as it doesn't quickly get dealt with by some sort of brawl. But even if there was a Stampeding Kodo in Hoy's deck now, it just wouldn't matter. It's got 3 attack.
Play around the old Kodo with the buff onto Finja. The problem is if Finja's played on an empty board, even a War Leader would not buff Finja enough to kill an Ali Armorsmith, for example. So there could be a turn where Finja kind of just floats, still in stealth, to try and buy time to help out with that. Spyridge Steed does help out with that if you're going to go Finja Steed, or there could even be just Finja into Tarim, and then you get the clean trade with Finja, pull some Murlocs, and then continue from there.
Murlocs riding dinosaurs actually tend to be quite a common sight nowadays as we're in the Ungoro meta. Now, Belgium could play Murloc War Leader and just have it die to Fiery War Axe, but that feels like a horrible play. It looks like they may just have to Hero Power Pass here.
Yeah, they're probably okay with it. A lot of the time you do just ignore Tar Creeper for the most part. It's not like Oleg's got a super aggro opening, which means he has to try and push through this.
Do you think they are considering playing the Gentle Megasaur? Obviously, they opted not to, but it would have been a 5-4 that would have taken the Tar Creeper and the War Axe to deal with, and it would have also buffed the 1-3.
Yeah, I think at this point you want the coin for Finja.
Yeah.
With the hand's so dry in terms of like early game, next turn you can coin out. There's a chance if nothing's touched this turn, you'd play Megasaur, but the Tar Creeper's almost certainly going to clear off that 1-1. So then you coin out Finja, and then make things happen the turn after. Start to build up the board. Then you start being able to ask Hoy questions of, do you have Brawl? Do you have a good form of AoE? We can see that Ghoul plus Sleep with the Fishes is actually going to deal with a good chunk of Murlocs, more than likely, unless there's a Megasaur with a buff, health buff out there. So I think Belgium are okay to just take this one slow.
Yeah, kind of tricky hand on Hoy's side as well now. Like, what does he play this turn? He doesn't want to play Ravaging Ghoul because he's got Sleep with the Fishes. He wants to hold on to those cards together for as long as possible. Slam doesn't really achieve anything, it just draws him a card. Again, it may just be a case of hitting in the Tar Creeper to the 1-1, hitting the weapon into the Valfin Inquisitor, and just armoring up.
I think Slam's okay. Slam means you can cycle, you get value from the Inquisitor, and you don't have to trade into it because you're probably looking at Ghoul next turn anyway. Not even going to go for any, going to save Slam to maybe proc and execute later on, which is the other value of it, but I don't know, the hand looks pretty dry to me.
Saving the War Axe too, I wonder if there could be an element of Denmark trying to bait Belgium into playing more Murlocs so that they can then go, okay, Ravaging Ghoul, Sleep with the Fishes, that's them dealt with.
Also as well, this Valfin's just never getting through this Tar Creeper. Even if there's plus attack from a Megasaur, well, it dies. So great. If there's poison, it dies. So it's fine. So there's never really a good reason to trade. The only punish, if you can even call it that, is like Megasaur into War Leader, and the Megasaur gives it Divine Shield. Also, you know what I mean? They're very weird circumstances. We are going to see Coin Finja. Not too much of a surprise here. It's going to be a little bit annoying, though, because now Ravaging Ghoul plus Sleep with the Fishes does not deal with Finja, which would have been a great, great answer for Hoy.
Not all much that Hoy can do about it, yeah. A Brawl would be risky, but would be a potential answer to Finja here. But it's just
I'd take a 2 out of 3 chance of you having a good outcome here.
Yeah, yeah. That being said, would he need it? Like, after Finja procs, it pulls out the Murlocs from the deck, puts them onto the board, then he could just Brawl afterwards. Or, in this case, more realistically, just going to play Ravaging Ghoul, Sleep with the Fishes afterwards and deal with everything. I'd say that Hoy and Team Denmark are in a pretty good spot right now.
Yeah, I think Hoi is going to want to kill off this 1-1 to make the Finja not on board trade into the Tar Creeper. But to do that, he has to either slam it, swing into it, or play Ghoul. If he plays Ghoul, it does the 1 damage to the Tar Creeper anyway, so it makes no difference to the trade. So it might be Armor Smith pass it. Oh no, he's going to go into it. Okay. It's just going to say, yep, okay, kill the Tar Creeper, give me some armor. Let's see what you've got.
Yeah, if Belgium actually clear this Tar Creeper without buffing Finja, then it just means that Sleep with the Fishes is going to deal with it easier. If Oleg did play... Oh wait, I can't play Spirit Steed anyway, he's only got 5 mana. So it's going to be just Murlocs and more Murlocs this turn.
This could be a huge blowout turn though, because this could just be Ghoul. Sleep with the Fishes gets the job done anyway.
Wow.
Second wall leader, that is huge actually.
Definitely one of the better Murlocs that Belgium could
Well,
have
it
got.
means you can push him out of that range.
Yeah.
You play the second wall leader, which is the secondary buff, which means everything survives, right? Or most stuff survives.
But what do they play around? Because if they want to play around Brawl, then they won't play the second War Leader.
True.
Actually going to go ahead and play Gentle Megasaur. Okay, pretty good options, actually.
It's whether you want to be defensive and use the Divine Shield for value, or whether you go hyper aggro and go +3 attack. Because bear in mind as well, the Bluegill is on board, so the Bluegill can go into the Armor Smith anyway. I think Divine Shield, yeah, makes the most... Well, you have War Leader, you have Spite Ridge, you have another Murloc. Keep your board as it is, and then you can build on that next turn. Suddenly, this is looking progressively more grim for Hoi.
Yeah, it does sort of block Sleep with the Fishes. Finja still will get hit. So Ravaging Ghoul Sleep with the Fishes will still get rid of Finja. It will still get rid of the Bluegill, and it will still get rid of the Gentle Megasaur. Then the weapon could get rid of the Murloc War Leader. That would still only leave the Tidecaller alive, so Ghoul Sleep with the Fishes still almost does the entire job here. There wouldn't quite be the mana to fit Slam in as well. I can't see a better turn. I think that's where they go.
Anyway. It's just a shame you have to swing the weapon in.
Yeah.
You could still just hold this War Axe and get more value from it later, but this was the Megasaur proc as well, so there's probably enough value in just clearing this up.
Yeah,
You're a little bit afraid of the Tidecaller, but...
Yeah, it's only going to have 3 attack at the end of this. At the end of this little exchange, once the Murloc War Leader has been dealt with. Though as we can see, there's another Murloc War Leader and another Tidecaller ready to go from Belgium. So Hoi is going to have to prepare another...
And a Hero Power.
Yeah. And so Hoi's going to have to prepare another board clear as soon as he possibly can.
Does have Primordial Drake in hand though, and that bad boy is pretty good.
It's a good board clear, it's a good taunt. Yeah, he can't complain about that.
And now just the Ghoul being on the board helps out with a lot of trades. There's a couple of things Elliot can do now. Has even more Murlocs to play with. He could just Spite Ridge Steed trade and just get that big minion onto the board and then follow up afterwards.
Yeah, I don't think that they've seen any single target removal yet though. So I'm wondering if Spite Ridge Steed plays into Execute a little bit much. Like, Belgium have seen 1 Ravaging Ghoul and 1 Sleep with the Fishes. There's only 3 cards in hand. I think the chances are slimmer of Denmark having a second board clear. And so maybe it'd be better for Oleg to just go wide.
Yeah, all you got to think about though is the count on the taunts is still quite low from Hoi. And one of the cards that's key, because the hand size is so small, is Curator next turn.
Right.
So if your opponent executes you instead of playing potentially Curator, you're probably okay with that.
That's true.
Considering you still keep the 2/6 afterwards.
Yeah, that's very, very true.
And there's still, probably Drakes in Belgium's deck. There's Tyrion, potentially Ragnaros as well. So there's still a lot of targets that you're okay at being 1 execute down with.
Yeah, it's crazy that they're still only on 6 mana. Like this has been quite a long game just because of how tough the decisions have been. Belgium going to go with your play, buff up the Murloc Tidecaller, and as we can see, there isn't actually any kind of punish just yet. We could start here with a slam, see what he draws, but he's not going to be very happy, I think, with the result of this turn. He needs to get that Primordial Drake down soon.
Probably going to be next turn. There's 3. You can do 5 damage this turn just with the slam. I think you have to start with slam here, see what you draw. You can easily follow up with Bloodtooth Brave. Slam does lock out the chance of Bloodtooth Brave, Slam, and Armor Smith this turn, but I think that's okay.
Yeah, I think it's fine. You're in no hurry to play Armor Smith just yet. If you can maybe... Armor Smith might even in this matchup end up being one of these cards that you just play with a Brawl, just to raise your chances of something horrible not surviving on the other side. Let's see what Hoi gets from the slam. It's going to be the Curator. So almost the same scenario as if Hoi had to execute first, just not able to play it this turn.
Yeah, so the Curator is absolutely huge pickup. Next turn can go Drake, turn after Curator, refill the hand. Probably going to draw one of the 5-drop Dinosaur, Hatchling, which is a huge value card, as well as an additional taunt, because Hoi's still only on 2 out of 7 for his quest. He's got a long way to go, whereas, you know, Belgium and Oliek have got plenty of resources now. That hand full of Murlocs and that wall leader being key here.
Yeah, this quest being complete far slower than the quests that we saw completed in the previous game in the Rogue Mirror match. Now, Oliek is able to make quite an aggressive turn here if he chooses to. He can actually play the Tidecaller and both of the Murlocs that buff each other, though that is quite all in. Looks like he's going to go with the Hydrologist instead.
Yeah, I think I like this a little bit more. This lines up so you play the Seer and the Secret, and the Seer is going to buff all the minions to make them more likely to survive the following turn. You can play a secret such as Redemption or even Getaway Kodo to get the Murloc back. If you draw it, we saw Oliek didn't. And what this does is this sets up for a huge wall leader turn the turn after.
It's already a pretty huge board even without the Murloc wall leader. There's an 8/8 Murloc there that just traded in.
And one off being killed with the 2 extra damage from the Drake.
Right.
And this board's just so secure now.
That Drake does very, very little. Again, Hoi, he's missing his Brawl. He's just not drawing it.
Even Brawl though, if one of the Murlocs survives and you get Murloc plus a 2/6 taunt to defend it, then you continue to build up the board. Because at the moment, with Wall Leader in hand, just Hero Power is kind of a threat because the Hero Power for the Paladin at the moment does generate Murlocs and not normal
And it also buffs the Murlocs that are already on the board.
Crazy.
I'd say, yeah, if there was a Brawl now, then there'd be quite a high chance of a Murloc surviving as well.
Approximately a 4 in 5 chance.
Approximately, yeah. So Hoi going to just go ahead, restock his hand with the Curator, it looks like, as you said. Primordial Drake doesn't quite do enough. Then again, maybe he needs its health, just for defense. Needs it to just soak up some Murloc damage.
Yeah, the problem is, with the Primordial Drake, is its health, is its strength.
Yeah.
But it dies to just that Murloc.
Yeah.
Straight off the bat. It just dies, and the Murloc still lives, which is kind of nuts. This Curator is going to go down to a measly 1 health. But there is a Diehorn Hatchling and a second Primordial Drake in hand for Hoi now. So the Curator has done the most of its job. Consecrate going to clear through most of this board, or at least the Curator and most of the health on the Ghoul. But with the Wall Leader now, how much damage is this? It's 11? 24 damage total.
Ooh.
26 with the Conk.
No, that's it then.
Yeah, that's just lethal, right?
That's just the end of the game.
Yeah, because he skips through the taunt.
I just want to say,
wow.
I just want to point out how sneaky that Repentance was from Team Belgium there. Just realizing we're going into turn 8, chances are there's going to be a big taunt coming down. It's going to be a Primordial Drake, most likely. It's terrifying, that's what it is. It's terrifying, but Oliek looking very happy there as he talks with his teammates.
I think that's either some kind of stuffed animal or just one way or the other, like a teddy bear or not, I don't know. But that was horrifying. I don't know what he just almost tried to throw us through the camera there.
I just saw Soto at the corner of my eye looking equally terrified or confused.
If Sol's disturbed, then you know there's something gone terribly, terribly wrong. It takes a lot to move that guy. But there's going to be a 1-1 evening up of this score now. Belgium and Denmark, even Stevens here, and Arnige and Crane going up against each other with Warrior versus Mage.
Warrior versus Mage. Now, I would say that we are more likely to see the Pirate Warrior this time, as that seems to be the more common deck in the Hearthstone Global Games and just in Hearthstone generally over time. Whereas day one, like Quest Rogue and Quest Warrior seemed to be the kings of this meta. Quest Warrior slowly fallen down as the other decks have punished it more and more over time. That Paladin being a great example, as Hoi's Warrior just wasn't able to sustain against it.
Yeah, didn't get anywhere fast with that Warrior, but the key thing here as well is in terms of the matchups, it was Mage or Warlock.
Right.
So you're pretty sure your opponent's going to pick Mage,
right,
and then you probably don't want to pick Taunt Warrior into Mage, because Mage has a very decent matchup versus Taunt Warrior, if not like favored, just if not a lot favored, at least reasonably favored. I've never had any trouble with that matchup.
You have to play it so carefully as the Warrior. Like you throw the quest against Mage, and then hopefully you've got armor smiths and shield blocks and things to just prevent some of that chip damage or heal yourself up again. But it's very, very tough because then you're not applying any pressure.
Yeah, and the version of the mage is going to be very important if it is Pirate Warrior, because a lot of the time against the Gunter or, you know, the Discover Mage, whatever you want to call it, the Pirate Warrior, unless it's like exact answers, like very perfect draws and perfect answers from the mage, whether that's through glyphs or just drawing the right cards at the right time, then this matchup can be very, very difficult, and the Pirate Warrior can often just run away with it and not really care about Ice Block, because if you kill them fast enough, the main fear is Ice Block buying the mage enough time for a self-Alexstrasza.
Right.
That is a problem. Other than that, though, you're feeling pretty confident with the Pirate Warrior.
And if it's Secret Mage, the Secret Mages aren't running Alexstrasza, not usually. Anyway, sometimes there's a mirror entity, a mirror image somewhere. Sometimes there's a counter spell that can stop a Heroic Strike or a Mortal Strike, but it's very, very difficult for the Secret Mage to sustain against the high pressure that the Pirate Warrior comes up with. Just War Axe into Bloodsail Raider can be terrifying if there's no answer for it.
It is going to be Secret Mage, but it's Quest Warrior. We were wrong!
We just called all of that wrong, all the way through. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So the Quest Warrior versus Secret Mage is a matchup I've got to confess I've not played against too much. I just don't see a lot of Quest Warriors on ladder
You
at the
don't
moment.
see much Quest Warrior, do you?
But the Secret Mage, so for those of you not seen this deck, because although it's not new to people who play the ladder day in, day out, and, you know, like browse some websites for some deck lists or whatever, this deck hasn't come up often in HGG.
No.
So this list plays cards along the lines of Kirin Tor, Cabal Crystal Runner that all have great synergy with secrets. And it's generally an aggressive deck, normally tops out at Fireland's Portal, sometimes Pyroblast as a finisher. But the key question is what secrets are going to be ran here from Crane. There is certain builds, certain very popular builds. For example, Fino has been playing a list that has double Mirror Entity, double Counterspell, that's it.
Yep.
And what the idea is, the Mirror Entity and the Counterspell disrupt and get you far enough ahead in the game that you don't need Ice Block. You win because you're so far ahead. But there are also lists that play the Ice Block, and then they more than likely do play Pyroblast because the Ice Block can buy you that one turn to then just Pyroblast them in the face.
Ice Block is also very, very powerful in these decks, just as an activator for Medivh's Valet and the other secret synergy cards. There's a lot of debate at the moment about this list. Like, this list is changing, I think, day by day. And one thing to bear in mind is that submissions for these guys to compete today, like, they didn't submit these decks this morning. They submitted these decks a few days ago. So it's possible, with a deck that's evolving as quickly as Secret Mage, that Crane might even not be happy with this list anymore. But that's tough. It's the one he's got to play.
I'm going to let you in on a secret
Okay.
for this list.
Good job.
Try Vicious Fledglings. You heard it here first. You heard it here first, guys. Mana Worm on 1 is, of course, absolutely fantastic. The opening you're really looking for. Crane just considering the benefit of Mana Worm versus Buck, if there's, say, a Fire Warrior, for example. Crane obviously does not know whether this is Pirate Warrior or Quest. He's about to find out, more than likely. But the Mana Worm just feels safe in general. Crane going to be looking for a secret very soon, though, because Kirin Tor Mage plus secret is kind of ridiculous. 6 mana on turn 3 played quite easily.
Yeah.
And you get the tempo from the secret.
I think it's fair to say that the Mana Worm on turn 1's pretty good in every situation.
Reasonable.
Yeah, even if there was a Fiery War Axe punish, like, do you care so much? It's eating up a charge, great. That Armor Smith is actually quite annoying for Crane, as he's got no clean way of getting rid of it. It's going to at least get rid of the Babbling Book, and he's not even able to buff his Mana Worm just yet.
Yeah, the Babbling Book giving Crane a Frost Nova as well. Not really what you want versus a defensive warrior deck. You really want just more burn, or either, you know, maybe Meteor or something like that. You know, either burn or removal. You don't really want just stall these massive taunt minions. Oh no, they can't hit me for a total of 3 damage between 3 minions a turn.
Yeah, another thing is that Arnij is going to be able to play the Slam if he wants to, and actually deal with the Mana Worm entirely with the Armor Smith next turn. He's holding on to the Warrior Quest, the Fireplume's Heart. Now, we were saying before, Warrior probably throws away the quest against Mage. Arnij actually has decided to keep it. What do you think about that?
It's a real tough one. I think the matchup is bad enough that you probably never going to out-armor them anyway. This might be a controversial opinion here, but the odd times I've actually lost the matchup as the Discover Mage. Hang on, is Crane going to make a play? Okay. Right, just going to make sure he wasn't disconnected or anything there before we carry on. But a lot of the times I feel I've lost this matchup as the Discover Mage is when, you know, you have a bit of a dull draw, and the warrior finishes the quest very quickly, then suddenly the 8 damage a turn catches up with you, right? You know, because bear in mind, you get 8 damage a turn from the hero power, plus 8 from the weapon itself. So that's actually just a hell of a lot of damage. But it looks like
Yeah, the Fiery Warriors pick up
Yeah,
pretty relevant
good.
there for Team Belgium, able to nicely clear away that Mana Worm, clear away the Babbling Brook, and now Denmark, sadly, they've got the Kirin Tor Mage, one of the strongest cards in this deck, as you were saying earlier. The potential to put out 6 mana's worth of things on turn 3 if you've got a secret in hand.
Yeah, this is super awkward. The lists normally play at least 4 secrets, because you play Arcanologist, which draws you 2, is the plan. And then you're happy to draw into more, because those secrets are duplicates of normally Counterspell, for example. And you want to prop them with Kirin Tor. There's an unfortunate situation here where Crane's going to have to play a Kirin Tor Mage into the weapon anyway for Belgium, so it just dies, doesn't even get the benefit of a quest, I'm staring at the quest, of the secret being activated either. He couldn't sacrifice the apprentice, so this was the best of a bad situation here for Crane.
Yeah, really slow progress. It's going to deal 4 damage to the face, but it's not the pressure that you need to have with this deck. We don't know quite how aggressive Crane's build is. It may run, as we saw yesterday, it could still run Pyroblast, it could still run at least the Trailblazer. We saw a really value-oriented Secret Mage yesterday come out on top.
The build is going to be very important here. For example, if it's not running Medivh, well, you ain't going late game.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not happening.
Right.
If it's not running Medivh, it's probably not running Alexstrasza, so on, so on, so on. So I feel like Crane and Team Denmark are going to have to make something work very quickly here, as Anish actually gets a Discover from the Stonehill. None of them feel fantastic. Dirty Rat might just be best against this list.
I think it might be.
Although there are Crystal Runners, which
Yeah,
you could
okay.
save your opponent a lot of mana.
But if Anish can hold on to it for turn 7 and play it with a Brawl, like,
true.
potentially just pull something out that Crane does not want pulled out. Again, it's possible Anish isn't going to know exactly what to expect in this list. They're still evolving, they're still changing, and this will have been a few days old, this deck list.
Yeah, this is more like it, though. Now, turn 2 late, but Kirin Tor Mage plus Counterspell is going to be pretty nice. Both minions have to trade into the Mage, which they're not high-value minions, so still frustrating, but at least then you get the Counterspell active, so you know the next spell that's going to be played is going to get ineffective and not going to work.
And
that could be the quest.
The important thing there is exactly, Anish hasn't actually played the quest yet. He hasn't had the spare mana to. It's still sitting there in his
He
hand.
has Slam, though, right? It's going to be Slam every day of the week.
He has Slam. He's not going to make that mistake, but it could potentially make things very, very awkward for Anish. If he didn't have another...
No. So, okay. This looks like a mistake, right?
But it must have been intentional.
But I think there is a chance, if they had a real heads up, this was Secret Mage, they kept the quest to proc a counterspell if they never want to play the quest, right? Because the difference here is, one, you can play against Gunter Mage and not proc and throw away the quest, right? So you can actually throw that away. So you can win the game without it, and against a more aggressive list, you can actually stabilize, and then the mage runs out of damage and runs out of burn because they're not playing the the Medivh for the high value stuff. You can actually just drill them down. There isn't too much card draw in this list normally either, outside of the Arcanologists and the Arcane Intellects, for example. So there is a chance they kept hold of it for that reason. I am pretty sure you would not queue a quest before a slam if a secret's active and you don't know what it is. I'm not convinced that's correct.
I agree with you. They must have procced the counterspell with the quest on purpose.
This is one of the times I'll give full credit to the players. These guys are not bad at Hearthstone,
Really,
right? Like,
really
that was
interesting strategy, though. I've got to admit, it's not one I would have expected. Just keeping the quest in your opening hand for the sole purpose of proccing a counterspell. What if that was a mirror entity? There was no way of testing for it.
That's true, but then they're happy. They just equip the quest anyway.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It's like, okay, quest live. Sick. Right. But the idea is, think about it. Look at this hand. Sleep with the Fishes. Brawl. Any of those gets counterspelled.
Yeah.
Your turn is busted.
Yeah.
Like, you're only doing those when you need to clear a board. Then you just don't clear the board. Your opponent gains effectively another turn to push more damage. Then you probably lose.
Though Belgium's hand doesn't really do anything at the moment. They're not going to want to use one of these brawls to clear one minion, or even two with Dirty Rat, probably. They need to start picking up some taunts now, not to get any progress on the quest. That's not happening, but just to actually put some pressure on the board themselves.
Yeah, I think they can hold off a little bit. There's a chance that they could even just say double Dirty Rat Brawl or something really grim. We'll see how the board looks in a few turns. But as long as they can stabilize, normally this list, it might have Elise in it, then things get a little bit different, right? But there must be a game plan from Belgium if they're happy to blow this quest.
Right. Another slam. Gonna allow Team Belgium to cycle through their deck a little bit more, a little bit faster. They do need to be picking up some pressure.
I mean, as long as they can just remove these minions. Look at the hand. Violence is a value card. Nova, I mean, that could be anything as far as Annie is concerned, but Nova does nothing, right? Does absolutely nothing this matchup.
Yeah.
Sorcerer's Apprentice, bad on its own. It's just a 3-2, right?
Right.
Well, imagine in a few turns, all these are gone. Say that the board gets brawled away. Then what's Crane gonna do? Like, hope to draw stuff? There's still like just a random fireball that could be drawn. Even certain secrets might not be that effective anymore because you could just Dirty Rat into a mirror entity. Great, you give him a Dirty Rat.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Crane doesn't look too concerned at the moment, though. He looked surprised when he saw the slam come down. But at the moment, Arnij just isn't doing that much. It's giving Team Denmark the chance to just kind of put what they've got on the board and start dealing this damage.
This is what I'm talking about. We were talking about this on the way to the studio today. I've took out Medivh Valet and played Vicious Fledgling, right? Imagine if that was a Vicious Fledgling.
All right, okay, Raven.
I'm just saying, guys.
Hashtag
Sick
Raven Tex.
Yeah, sick card. So, this is a problem, though. One of the issues with this deck, depending on whether it runs Ice Block or not, if it doesn't, it is actually harder than it seems to get a secret live for when you want to play the Valet. Unless you activate the secret and then play the Medivh Valet in the same turn.
Right.
A lot of the time, your secrets get procced. If your opponent plays a minion or casts a spell that turn, both very likely outcomes of any given turn, you lose the secret, and then it's just a 2-3 for 2, which is just bad.
Yeah. So, this turn, I mean, I can't really see a play other than Violence Portal. But then you're kind of wasting it because...
You could just Valet Ping.
Yeah, I guess. Feels sad, though.
It does, but think about it. If Valet lives long enough to attack twice,
Yeah.
it's sort of done its job and sticking in your hand.
Gonna do something very similar. Gonna go with Sorcerer's Apprentice and Ping. It's a little bit more pressure on the board. Might require Belgium to want to deal with it faster, and they don't have a clear way of doing it.
Ripple,
as they
Dirty
pick
Rat,
up their
go.
third Dirty Rat.
I mean, to be honest, there aren't that many minions that are left.
Yeah.
Your opponent's held onto 2 cards for a very long time. You know one of them is definitely a spell because it came from Babbling Book.
Yeah.
Do you just triple Dirty Rat?
I mean,
Build that board.
Even Rat into Brawl doesn't seem too bad. It deals with almost everything that Crane has. Obviously, Arnij doesn't know that this is all of the minions that Crane has,
I
but
think you could just hold the Brawl, though.
yeah?
You just execute the 3-3.
Okay. Or even sleep
The idea for the Brawl is there are still Crystal Runners in the deck, which are Pains. They're 5/5s that can potentially be free
Yeah.
to play later on. So there's 2 5/5s still knocking around. There's 2 Violence Portals. There's still some more, mid-range minions. There's probably a second Water Elemental as well.
I wonder if Arnij decided to play the second Dirty Rat and he didn't pull out anything, he could then just go ahead and play Sleep with the Fishes, knowing that there's no minions left in Crane's hand. When is it going to get more value?
So Annie's going to take it slow. He's going to go with option 3, which is pass.
Sure.
And then if my opponent continues to develop onto the board, awesome. And also, for this Dirty Rat to die, say Water Elemental Valet Ping goes in, Sleep with the Fishes is sick.
Yeah.
If Sorcerer's Apprentice goes in, it kills itself. So there's a benefit of next turn, Anish can pretty much answer anything that happens.
I agree with this. He's under no pressure. He's still got 28 health. It doesn't matter if a little bit of this damage connects to the face. And actually, Crane deals with this Dirty Rat, maybe plays something great. The Brawl isn't getting any worse.
And there's still some powerhouses in this deck. We talked about, losing the quest, even though I'm pretty sure it's on purpose, causing a big problem to how to finish. Diehorn Hatchling, 3/6 that puts a 6/9 in your deck.
Yeah.
That even Curate is a bit of a beast. Draw's a bit of a beast.
Okay.
There's 2 Drakes in the deck. Certainly. They're just 4/8s. How does Mage deal with 2 4/8s? That's actually just a problem. Gonna be Violence Portal into Avian Watcher, plus a Ping to clear off, and this is just improving a Brawl turn for Arnie. He's gonna take a bit of damage. He doesn't have a weapon equipped though, so this freeze from the Water Elemental is like, well, okay.
Yeah, Brawl just seems even better now than it did before. Arnij may even opt to play Dirty Rat first to ensure that he gets maximum value.
Is he going to go for it?
Just one-
I wonder if he's going to go for Ghoul Sleep.
Well, he'll have received the disappointing news here that there's no minion in Crane's hand.
Now he has to go for it.
Yeah, maybe Ghoul Sleep would have been fine.
I was thinking
If he knew there was no
if he
minion.
Ghoul Sleeped, then it means that there's Ghoul plus the 3/3 Avian Watcher on the board.
Yeah.
So they match each other, and then that's it. There's a Cabal Crystal Runner.
Okay, well, now Denmark is able to put a little bit more pressure on the board. Glyph first can play almost anything that he gets. 2 secrets he's got to choose between.
I think
Molten Reflection's decent too, though.
Mullen's just better, right?
Yeah, he can play 2 5/5s.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, this is nice. Because the secret would have reduced the Crystal Runner by 2.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
But who cares?
Yeah.
Like when you can just make 2 Crystal Runners for the same cost anyway. So going for a bit of a push here. Now we might see the Ghoul into the Sleep, but that's not going to be enough to actually clear the board.
It's not. We may just see the second Brawl here. There's probably no point in playing the dirty route because Belgium know there's no minion in Denmark's hands. So going to go ahead, deal with 2 out of the 3 minions. Don't think there's any surefire way he can deal with everything else. But
this Water Elemental, immortal. 2 brawls. This is the king of fighting. 2 brawls.
look at
Doesn't
that.
care.
A pure defensive dirty route. That's not something you see very often nowadays. But knowing that there's no minion in Crane's hand, it's just safe to play that and protect your face from more damage. Execute would have worked too, but it also would have felt like a bit of a waste.
Well, this is what I talked about earlier, right? The Secret Mage does run out of juice a lot of time. You rely on the secrets buying you enough time and tempo to win the game off the back of them. I don't think there's any secrets. Oh no, Counterspell. There's a Counterspell been played so far by Team Denmark, but look at this. Belgium's just going to starve them out.
Yeah, Crane's not looking as happy anymore as this game is slowly falling out of his control.
And Curator MVP here.
Again, we don't know how heavy the Secret Mage build is, but unless there's something crazy like a Kabbalist Tome, or maybe a Glyph into Kabbalist Tome or something, it's going to be really, really hard for Crane to get back into this.
Apart from an Arcane Intellect, it doesn't really matter how heavy it is. They're drawing 1 card a turn, they've got nothing.
Yeah.
Unless exactly Antonidas into Nova comes out. And even then, great, you get a Fireball, Ghoul Execute. Done.
Mana Worm, not the best card to draw on 10 mana. Mana Worm plus Frost Nova might have to be the play. Like, what else?
I'll tell you what, Belgium and Arniers have done a great job at navigating this matchup. They have just all-in on starving their opponent out. They even valued the cycle from and the kill from the slam over the quest to win this game. Because as I said, look at this hand now, Direhorn. How does the mage kill a Direhorn?
Yeah.
Then how do they kill the Drake? Then how do they kill the 6/9 that the Direhorn generates? Then how do they kill the second Drake? You know, they just don't have enough damage.
I think this game is pretty over. And what's really funny is that looking back, even to before they mulliganed, we were saying, yeah, the warrior throws away the quest here, mulligans it away. Well, in a way, they did throw away the quest. They kept it strictly for the purpose of getting rid of it with the counterspell. Really, really clever.
Yeah, and the thing is, the strength of Counterspell, especially at the moment, is every single spell that is played is very, very important. Like, there's not a lot of low-cost spells in most decks that you can just throw away and be like, it's fine.
I wonder, I don't recall who was on the coin in this game. I wonder if Team Belgium had the coin, maybe they would have thrown away the quest and just kept the coin to ditch that to the counterspell.
Yeah, I guess at the opening they had, though. Why not throw the quest anyway if you're that confident? Because then the coin can help coin into taunts and progress your quest a little bit quicker.
Sure.
But this is just, like I said, yay, Water Elemental.
Yeah, I guess you could definitely make the argument that the coin is more valuable in this matchup than the quest.
If you're in the mindset where you never need to play the quest to win this game, then the coin is worth more.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
So, you know, like, that's just, it should be factually true there. There is a Drake available. There is also just Acolyte, Whirlwind, Execute, or Trades, or I mean, Arnies has a plethora of options here, and Crane has the exact opposite, literally playing off the top of his deck, and this deck does not do well off the top.
No.
There are no particular huge draws. A second Firelands is probably as crazy as it's going to get.
One thing that Sottle and I did see yesterday was a Yogg Saron in a secret mage.
Sure.
Now that is, like, I'm not just memeing here, that is genuinely a card, maybe the card that could pull Denmark back into this game. Otherwise, what could they possibly have?
Not a lot. Now Tark Reaper as well.
I mean, like, best card now for Denmark is what? Flame Strike? Great, clears the board.
So
then
what?
Arnij puts
Yeah,
more
yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
What a big
The
deal.
minions are just too big. And this hatchling, it doesn't look like too much of a crazy card on the surface, right? A 3/6 taunt for 5. It puts a 6/9 in the deck. That's massive.
Yeah.
Now, Sorcerer's Apprentice sec. Ping pass. Just drop that Tar Creeper.
Yeah, Belgium not going to rush things. Like, they know they're ahead, but they're still going to take some time and work out if there's anything that they possibly need to play around. I mean, maybe just armor up pass is fine here.
Yeah, that would also just be absolutely fine. They could go for the extra draws from the Acolyte, but that makes their boards more susceptible to Volcanic Potion if it's there or if it can be discovered somehow. So I don't think there's any need to really go crazy. You have all the cards you need in hand. You already have the board quite substantially. You push it a hell of a lot of damage. What's that, 11 damage? Almost setting up lethal. Maybe the Tar Creeper comes down to set up... Will that set up lethal next turn? 4, 7, 10, 11, 12. It can't attack this turn, so no, it's still 1 off next turn, even if they get to attack with everything. But still, this just applies that little bit extra pressure. A weapon can clean this up. Still a lot of stuff that can go on. Arcanologist.
It is set up lethal.
Oh, did it? Oh, did I just... Okay, maybe I derped, but very, very well played game there from Arnij and Team Belgium.
Incredibly well played, yeah.
That was really nice. Yeah, that was a good to watch. But you saw what happened when one Arcanologist aren't drawn until turn 85 or whatever it was at that point. But also, you just see the counter spell becomes ineffective when you say you don't need to play the quest to win. You starve out the aggro mage, the secret mage, and it's not like the Gunted mage where you can go the long game. You have so much resource generation and value, you just can't do it.
We saw a little smile there from the end from Arnij, and he's thinking, and Team Belgium are thinking, we love it when a plan comes together, and that plan certainly did come together. As we move on to game number 4, it's going to be a Priest mirror match.
Yeah, Chinoise and Inderen going up against each other in the Priest. We've seen a lot of Silence Priest, a sprinkling of Dragon Priest going on throughout HGG. Yeah,
it's accurate.
The Silence Priest mirror, I feel, is either going to be one of the quickest games we've ever seen or just the silliest in general, because it will be made up of both players like posturing, basically. They'll be playing minion, they might power word shield it, and then if they do, you're like, oh no, I need to kill it. So it can be very, very rough. You know, me and Saul described this as a dance yesterday, but normally it's a dance that is Priest versus something, right?
Yeah.
If it's against itself, cards like Watcher can be huge, because you play Watcher, you can silence it, buff all its health. Priest normally can't do much about it unless they already have minions to kill it off with anyway. Then the inner fire turn happens, game over.
You described the matchup as silly, but it's silly in like the best possible way, where you really...
I know you like silliness, Falk.
You really
don't need to
can
convince
play
me.
mind games with your opponent. The other thing is, the card Silence isn't necessarily going to be used on your own card. You can wait until your opponent plays a big Faceless Shambler and then just silence that. Then the question is, how big does one of your opponent's minions have to get before you use your precious Silence spell on it?
Yeah, you could just die, and this is what we talked about a lot yesterday. But you are right, Silence used in an offensive manner is going to be more common in this matchup, if they're both Silence Priests, of course. Whereas Purify will be the card that's, you know, the joy of Purify, only being able to target your own minions, means that that will be the card that's used for activators for your own minions, more than likely, versus the aggressive response here. It looks like the players are getting ready to go into the game now, so we'll find out very, very soon what versions of Priest they are. I see Divine Spirit, but I also see a Draconic Operative on Indren's side.
Not quite going to be a mirror then. This is also the matchup I was going to say a moment ago, where the relevance of Shadow Visions really comes in, because in the Silence Priest mirror, you're sometimes taking Silence and using that just to deal with one more of your opponent's threat. Sometimes you are taking Power Word Shield, sometimes you're taking Divine Spirit. It's a very, very versatile card. I mean, just the card just says, put an extra spell in your deck, decide during the game which one it is. It's fantastic.
Yeah, the Tutor effect really strong from Shadow Visions, and pretty much what's pulled Priest back into the limelight after losing so many dragons in this new rotation from the Dragon Priest variant. Because even if Shadow Visions wasn't a card, I don't think Dragon Priest will be played that much.
Right.
Because it's still very, very, very good indeed. Just as a card to pull out, Shadow Word Death, Dragonfire Potions, even just Power Word Shield, just any answers in general
But
to
look
an
at that.
board state.
Inderen keeping Nether Spy Historian and Draconid Operative.
And drawing Mind Control.
Oh,
It's a card we've not seen in a while, unless you count from Lyra.
I think we have seen it. I wonder if that hints towards the possibility of a Medivh in this deck?
Potentially.
Free from Amber? Dragon Control-y Priest? It could totally be a thing. Now that's by Historium.
I like the optimism in your voice, like, oh, that could be a thing. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Dragon Priest plus Medivh and Mind Control.
Oh, you know me, Raven. You know I love these fun decks. Now that's by Historian, as Software was joking about yesterday, it always gives you a Dragon Operative because it's one of only a few dragons remaining in standard format.
We managed to count up to 4 after me and Sol had a discussion yesterday.
Did you really?
Sol thought there was only 3 dragons in the expansion.
Yeah.
Well, in standard rotation, should I say? And I corrected him to 4. So
There's
yeah.
Twilight Drake, Midnight Drake.
We were joking, by the way, Falk. You don't actually have to count them.
Okay, I'll be quiet now.
But yeah, Nether Spite seems like it's the go-to here, although it does give or hand over Belgium a free card draw to a certain extent, because they can trade into it and then just Northshire Cleric heal itself, draw a card. But not being able to coin out the Twilight Drake yet means that their options are limited.
Yeah, Indiran is also lacking a lot of removal. He's got 1 Shadow Word Death. But the thing is, what this priest deck can do is just keep his minions small until they're ready to kill Enduran.
Yep.
So Shadow of Death might not even ever be helpful. That being said, Faceless Shambler to set up does require a big minion, so Shadow of Death could eat that up at some point.
Even so, though, you can still do the same with Shambler, right?
Yeah.
You can just buff the health, make Shambler like a 4/10, and then buff it afterwards.
And the thing is about Shambler as well, even if Shambler is just played on a humongous Razor Leaf, which hasn't been buffed, it's still a minion with 4 attack, and you're still playing against a priest.
Say Shambler again, Falk.
Shambler?
Say it how you say it.
Shambler?
That is not how you say it.
Shambler.
Shambler.
Shambler. We're just going to repeat the word Shambler for the rest of this cast?
I mean, probably if it comes out. Okay, so Tar Creeper, Acolyte of Pain, and Divine Spirit available for Belgium this turn. Acolyte of Pain very susceptible without being able to proc it straight away to just a Shadow Word Pain to clear this up. So Tar Creeper is just going to be the safe go-to option. Even Tar Creeper itself has 5 health. So, suddenly Divine Spirit in a fire, boom, 10 attack out of nowhere.
Right. Now the Shadow Visions being picked up here by Indurun. Oh, the tough decisions really have already started. Does he take his Shadow Visions and try and get a Shadow Word Pain to start to deal with these? Does he coin out the Twilight Drake? Does he want to save the coin for Draconid Operative? There are so many options for him right now.
Yeah, I think Silence Priest doesn't really run much AoE, if any.
Yeah.
So then, saving it for Operative, what you're after from Operative is AoE. So you're not going to get it, right? So I think the Twilight Drake this turn is going to be the best play you can make to try and bust through all these minions turn after turn.
Okay.
There's probably not going to be a great answer. If Divine Spirit in a fire comes out to clear the Drake, then you just death it.
Yeah.
Great. There's some resources gone from my opponent.
The thing that Chinoise has going for him is that Dragon Priests don't usually have a way of just winning the game instantly like Silence Priests do. So yeah, okay, a big Twilight Drake is coming down now. It's only got 4 attack and it's only got 7 health. Some Dragon Priests sometimes put in 1 Divine Spirit and 1 Inner Fire, but it's unlikely that you're just going to see this Twilight Drake win the game instantly. And that Silence pickup seems to have really affected you, Raven.
0 mana kill a Twilight Drake.
Yeah, with Pyromancer as well, yeah. And then draw a card because you heal something.
Yeah. That could be pretty good. You might even just play Pain at this point.
Acolyte.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you play Acolyte of Pain, you draw a card and develop the Acolyte
Sure.
of Pain and not just pass your turn, press and heal.
That is a very, very strong early board from Team Belgium, as don't forget, if they win this, they've won the series and they're back on the board in terms of the group.
Yeah, double Divine Spirit as well. This could be a cheeky win.
Could be very cheeky.
Yeah, there needs to be an Inner Fire, of course, to buff the attack up. At least the Trailblazer not going to do too much. And what's very important for this turn, especially developing the Acolyte from Belgium, is that because the coin was used on a Twilight Drake, next turn coin Dragonfire can't come out.
Right.
So you are just safe from AoE pretty much for 2 to 3 turns here. That's even if they have it available.
Right, nothing too shocking from this Discover here. I was hoping to see a Free from Amber or something crazy like that, but no, just Pain, Death, and Shield.
Think?
Is he just paying away the Tar Creeper because he's afraid of it?
Yeah, but I think you might have to Pain the Cleric.
they're all terrifying, right? Like leaving that would mean leaving the Acolyte alive with the Wild Pyromancer.
Just Divine Spirit, the Acolyte. Oh no, you'd have to heal the Pyro. But the problem is the Cleric will get a draw next turn.
Yeah.
Or your opponent's doing something even more powerful, great. Whereas the Tar Creeper might not get buffed. You know, it might not have it. The Acolyte, well, there might not be a spell played next turn, so it might not draw a card. The Pyro doesn't really matter, it's going to die soon, probably anyway. So I think the Cleric ends up being the highest priority target here.
But really, he wants to pain all 4 of these minions if possible. He's going to actually go with the Acolyte.
Word mass pain.
Sure, well, I guess there is the potential for almost burst drawing from Chinoise if that stayed alive.
Is it again?
Doesn't matter though. Second Acolyte of Pain picked up off the top. Not easy. Like he can't get multiple procs from it this turn, but it doesn't matter. Still got the North Cleric for the time being.
Just playing it is fine. The fact that you can draw a card and replay an Acolyte, he drew an additional. Sorry, he didn't draw a card because of the pain last turn, but this Acolyte can probably make up for it. He would have known that operative, the Shadow Visions, pulled the pain as well. So he knows there's no other targets, more than likely, or no other answers in hand.
Well, no silence effect, well, apart from the single card silence, no like self-silence effects have been played yet from Chinoise. No Divine Spirits have been played, no Inner Fire, but look, he's got board control.
It's kind of hilarious that this Silence Priest has got Enduring down to 6.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And not done anything. They've just poked him with Tar Creepers, Clerics, Pains, and a Wild Pyromancer.
That's exactly what I was saying.
Yeah.
Right? It's just, it's kind of shocking. And the thing is, the lower Enduring gets, health-wise, the easier it's going to be for Team Belgium to just pick up this cheeky win.
Well, bear in mind, 2 Divine Spirits, because those 2 are in hand, it makes Shadow Visions more likely to pull an Inner Fire.
Unfortunately, though, it's... Oh, no, this is for Endurance.
Yeah, this is for Endurance.
Wait, Endurance running Purify?
I guess?
That's...
Why would Endurance run Purify?
That's where I thought this was for Belgium. That's confusing.
Indrin, why are you running Purify? Tell us.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, well, there's a Purify from Team Belgium. Not going to help him too much.
I literally cannot work out why there's a Purify there. I was even wondering for a second, could it maybe be some sort of Kazakus priest? But no, of course not. We've seen 2 Draconid Operatives. We've seen 2 Twilight Drakes.
We'll find out if they win. We're going to try and interview them and ask that key question. Powered Shield, going to be pretty nice. Going to draw 2 cards this turn if he's going to choose to play it. You have to be a little bit careful because this Pyro is going to knock health off any minion you choose to buff. But with Indran being on 16, it means that, as you said, you know, with double Divine Spirit, well, suddenly that health ain't too bad.
Yeah, I mean, if this picks up Inner Fire here, that in itself would almost
Shadow
be lethal.
Visions.
Shadow Visions could pick up Inner Fire, but unfortunately, Chinoise won't have the mana to play it and the Divine Spirit this turn.
Yep. But this could all be a setup. At 16 health, you only need 1 minion to stick.
Yeah, the only problem with that setup is that it reduces the Tar Creeper back down to 5 health, and it means Dragonfire Potion would clear the board.
Humongous is going to come down. That draw was key.
Oh my
Razor Leaf coming down now. Then there's Purify, Shadow Visions, there's double Divine Spirit. You only need to fish for that 1 Inner Fire. And I believe, is that second Shadow Visions from Chinoise?
Yeah.
He played 1?
I think he played the first one.
If he's played the first one, then there simply just aren't that many spells left in the deck, which means that you're very, very likely indeed to draw an Inner Fire. And this game could be over very, very quickly, and Denmark could be on the receiving end of the defeat by Belgium here, and Belgium's first win in this tournament.
We've seen so much Shadow Visions on each side. It's getting hard to keep up with which.
Yeah, especially when Indrin runs Purify, and we're just like, what?
That was right. Let's see what else he runs. No, I'm not going to find out anything new.
Oh, he runs Shadow Visions.
Wait, he still has another Shadow Visions in the... Yeah, because
I think they've done 1 each.
He picked up Shadow Visions from the previous Shadow Visions. Because before he was presented with Purify. Oh my goodness, it's confusing.
Yeah, Shadow Visions tracker on screen at some point. Twilight Drake going to come down and just, you know, do its best, basically. It's all you can ask of it. There's Purify again. Not going to be too important.
Well,
I guess Shadow Visions is going to be the key here.
If Purify,
Purify first.
It can pick up an Inner Fire and just win the game right now.
Yeah, I mean, the second Purify probably isn't going to do too much. He already had the first one. Shadow Visions, Inner Fire is what he's looking for.
I'll do it.
Game over. This was set up for quite a while. All the pieces aligned with the sheer volume of card draw that Chinoise could pull out. And Belgium take down Denmark 3-1.
Their first win of the Hearthstone Global Games. Chinoise looking very, very happy, and rightly so, as they take down, again, one of the more notable teams in the Hearthstone Global Games. Wow, that must feel pretty good for Belgium and pretty bad for Denmark, who now have a 1 win and 2 losses on their record.
Yeah, and what's very important as well is we spoke quite a lot. Belgium was 0-2 in this tournament. Denmark were 1-1. They sound quite different, right?
Yeah.
Suddenly, because they've played each other, Belgium is 1-2 and Denmark's 1-2.
Both at the same score, exactly.
And Belgium just won 3-1 over Denmark, so they've shoved their opponent's game score down whilst boosting theirs up now with a first loss again in that Rogue Mirror, which, to be honest, especially the Quest Rogue Mirror, can run away with itself out of nowhere. The other 3 matches were very, very impressive indeed from Belgium.
I'm not sure exactly what the game score looks like now. We'll be shown that again in just a moment. But yeah, this group just got very, very interesting. And so it definitely closed a gap this game. As we were saying earlier, Denmark kind of coming in as the more notable team, Belgium as the underdog, especially given their score in the tournament so far. Now, the underdog won the game again, following on from Austria beating Russia yesterday. All right, well, we have an interview with Chinoise coming up now. Hey, man, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, congratulations for your win. How does it feel to get that first point on the board?
We are very, very, very happy because like it was a bit slacking and finally got our first win. So
great, yeah. I mean, well deserved. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Were you confident going into the matchup versus Denmark? Was it a match? Obviously, you felt you had to win because you 0-2 up until this point in HGG. But were you actually confident going up against those guys?
So we were a bit stressed because like if we lost now, we were definitely out. I think with a lot of luck, we can go with 2-3 through the rounds, but like we don't want to take that risk. But we were pretty confident with the lineup because against Rogue, we were pretty sure it would be that. But yeah, we had a little bit the same hands, but Prep was Prep just a really good card.
Yeah, Prep can mess a lot of stuff up. And just one question I've got as well. In the Warrior versus the Secret Mage...
I was gonna take that one. I was gonna take
mine. In the Warrior versus the Secret Mage matchup, the quest was kept, and then I feel purposely used to test for counterspell. Was that the plan? Or because you had Slam and the quest to play, and there was a secret up. So the quest played first, and then you used Slam to kill off the minion. You could have easily just guaranteed you could burn Slam and then prot the quest, but you actually burned the quest instead on the counterspell. Was that intentional? Was you testing for that on purpose?
Yeah, absolutely. We were when we saw we played against Mage, we were like, if we have the coin, we will keep the quest because it's really hard now with the Psygunter Mage and the Secret Mage, which one is the best. So we were like, if we get the coin, we have actually an extra card. We can keep the quest. And when we saw it was Secret Mage, thanks to the Karen, we were like, we don't need the quest to win this game. We need to outvalue them. And Slam just gave us an extra card and a trade on the 4-3, and quest was not needed. So it was, we really kept it for the counter spell. And afterwards, we were a bit afraid to play Dirty Rat earlier because we were afraid of Antonidas because they have a bit of a heavier list with the water elementals.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it was very well executed, just completely burning them out of stuff. Congratulations one more time for your win. Go and enjoy it, and good luck in your next game.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. Good call there, Raven. Obviously, everything executed as planned. It would have been a bit of a surprise to see a team at the Hearthstone Global Games make that mistake. It's something that kind of happens when Secret Mage is only just starting to exist. But Secret Mage has been around for a while now, and it would be a foolish mistake to burn the quest by accident.
Yeah, we can see one of the matchups early on against Hoy here on the Taunt Warrior, but the Murloc Paladin was just insane. It just, as soon as it got going with this Finger turn, especially coin into Finger, it really just couldn't be stopped here. And Hoy never really got the collection of cards he needed to be able to bounce back from this kind of push. There was no Brawl available, which was key. There was no even, a good proc for Sleep with the Fishes. As you can see, we're a long way off Primordial Drake and Sleep in one turn here.
Yeah, it looked okay for Hoy at first because he had the Ravaging Gauntlet, he had the Sleep with the Fishes, but that Divine Shield really did mess Hoy's turn up. Unfortunately, he just had no way of stabilizing against this aggressive board of Murlocs, doing what Murlocs do best, hitting the board together, synergizing, buffing with each other, and just not giving the opponent a chance.
Yeah, and the Consecrate there, combined with that key Repentance pickup from the Hydrologist, really allowed them to push through for the lethal damage. And there was still Tareem in hand. Tareem could have just been able to deal with any of the big taunts anyway. Now we see the key turn, I feel. The Quest burn on the counterspell on purpose, as this allowed, as you heard from Chinoise just then, the Slam being able to, one, draw an additional card, and then get a value trade there, which was really nice for them. And as you can see, as the turns go on in this match, hand size whittling down for Crane and Team Denmark, where it's always pretty healthy for Team Belgium here.
I just can't get over how masterful that plan was and how much forward thinking went in there. Like, keeping the quest and then just saying to themselves, look, if we're against a secret mage, let's just use it to get rid of a counterspell. It's just incredibly clever gameplay, and I'd say a very well-deserved win from Team Belgium.
Yeah, and then just the Priest game we just saw, just finishing things up, and what was really funny about that was, you know, Priest mirror, the Silence Priest gets their opponent to 16 without really doing any inner fire, any buff stuff. It was just, my minions are just going to chip away and deal with it, and the Dragon Priest not quite being enough for injuring and not going to get him there.
It would be great to talk to Team Denmark about their Priest list, because it's very, very different from anything that I've seen before, at least. But as we take one last look at Group F, obviously the top of things hasn't been changed much, but the gap in the middle has been, as Denmark falls down a little bit, and Belgium actually overtake them due to a slightly better game record, with only the difference between one loss, though.
Yeah, I mean, the win for Belgium being 3-1 meant that they're one game score ahead. If not, if it would have been 3-2, then Belgium and Denmark would have been exact equal at this moment in time. But this just shows how quickly things can flip around in Hearthstone Global Games as the teams continue to play and continue to battle for those top 3 spots on the board.
Yeah, I mean, it's just... The difference between 3 wins and the difference between 2 wins and 1 wins is actually very close. Like, you only have to win a couple series of Hearthstone to qualify, and really anyone can win and anyone can lose a few series. It can happen. Anyways, we are going to cut to a very short break, and we'll be back in just a moment with the next game, which is going to be Finland versus Israel. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
We're almost there. Quiet down, everyone. This is not like any of our previous expeditions. This will be far more ambitious. We're stepping into a land of primordial wonder. Infused with astonishing elemental energies. The plant life here holds very unusual properties. So don't touch anything. And while you may be excited to see the local fauna, you might want to make sure they don't see you. Because their powers of adaptation are devastating. Make no mistake, we will be tested at every turn. But if we stay on our guard, we might just survive. Now then, are you ready? Then let's journey into Ongoro Crater.